So I got the stock inletted for my aluminum, it's kind of a pillar spacer. I have my receiver and screw. I got paste wax on it where I don't want the epoxy to stick. I've been using paste wax as a release agent for probably a decade now with really good results. But yeah, anything you don't want epoxy to stick to, use paste wax as a release agent. I actually have this channel packed with paste wax where the spring is, where the bolt return spring is, just so none of it gets into spring. So I mixed up some ProBed 2000 here. That's what I've been using lately. Seems like a good bedding agent. I also really like Brownell's Acroglass gel. So I ended up with a kind of a bigger hole than necessary, but got my bedding compound mixed up here, so I'm just going to start putting it into stock. One thing I found with bedding, you should always have plenty of Q-tips and paper towels on hand, because it does get messy. You get some glass bedding somewhere you don't want it, you don't want to have to be running for those supplies. It's good to have it on hand. So I'm just going to put some of this in the hole. If I end up getting someone next year to stock, it's not a big deal because I'm still working on the stock. It's not in its final shape yet by any means. It's going to get sanded down, finished. One thing I noticed with this ProBed 2000 has a longer working time than Brownell's Acroglass gel, which is advantageous for certain things. So I'm just trying to make sure that this cavity is nice and full bedding compound. Don't want to fill it too full, it's got to go somewhere when I stick the aluminum pillar in. This is why you should always have Q-tips handy. It's paper towels. Can save making a mess. One thing I did notice is this ProBed 2000 has a longer working time. Sometimes with Acroglass gel, it feels like I'm in a rush trying to get accomplished what I'm trying to do, and this ProBed seems like it takes longer to set up, which can be good in certain situations. So I think I got this pretty good. I'm sure I'm going to make a mess when I go to insert this aluminum pillar. So what I have here is I have a drill bit. I'm going to use that. Use that to guide in this pillar. I'm going to try to keep it aligned with my mark, my pencil mark, so that it's going to be hopefully pretty close to where it needs to be. This has to be up in about flush. Looks like that bit's coming through the top about where it needs to be. So at this point I'm going to pull the bit out. And I got some epoxy on the bit, no big surprise there. I did wax the inside of that aluminum pillar, and I also have my screw heavily waxed. And it can be a little intimidating working with this stuff. But what I found is if you have your parts heavily waxed, you don't want epoxy sticking to. I've never had a project yet that I haven't got apart. Just trying to clean up some extra here so I don't make a bigger mess than what I have to. Get some of the extra out of here. Again, Q-tips are awesome for this. See, that's extra. I don't want in there. This Pro Bed is a little stringier. It doesn't work quite as smooth as Acroglass gel does. I think it's because there's chopped fiberglass in this. It feels kind of gritty when you're mixing it up. And it's not quite as smooth to work with. So, it looks like our pillar's starting to work out the bottom. It's got to go up in there, closer flush. Looks good. My main concern is that I can get the screw through. And of course I already dry fitted this without the epoxy to make sure that the screw does in fact line up. So at this point I'd say we are ready. We should be ready to fit this. Okay. I've got wax in here. Let me get rid of this wax. So Looks like I'm lined up. There it goes. Screw started in upper tang. And I'm not going to torque on this right now. Just going to snug it down. So there we go. I might give this a wrap with the mallet just to make sure that that buttstock is fully seated up against the receiver. I don't see any light between the stock and the receiver. There we have it. Tomorrow I'll pull this apart and we should have a perfectly fitted buttstock with no chance of shooting loose like Brownings are known to do. Since I have that aluminum spacer in there, should be a lifetime job. So hope this was helpful to somebody out there. And again, this should be a good method, even with your factory Browning stock. If it's shooting loose, this certainly is a way to eliminate those egged out holes that happens in the wood stocks. Anyhow, we'll see you next time.